survivor. I'm a survivor, survivor. Who will be the ultimate survivor? Let's find out when you spend a day in our shoes. All you creators, our sanctuaries waiting. Who will win the title? Well, it could be you. Survivor, survivor. I'm a survivor.
Good morning, folks. Good morning. Lester here. I will be joined by Jamie momentarily. As of right now, I have a lot of other friends gathered around. Here comes Finn. Hi, buddy. You want to show him your new collar? He went with me to Tractor Supply a couple of days ago, and we got him a brand new collar. And he's going to show you all how cute he is in his collar. There goes Carl running along in the back, trying to show you off his legs. I'm afraid at some point we'll be joined by everybody. Well, there comes Starla. Everyone wants to be a part of the live. They all know that we went through quite the ordeal yesterday, and everyone wants to let you know they're checking in. Y'all, they are checking in to let you know that we're safe. I do see someone who's already doing the little mean faces. I'm going to ask you to stop doing that. There's no reason to put a mean face onto this live. There's nothing mean being said, nothing mean being done. There's nothing mean here. This is all about love and kindness and happiness and acceptance and forgiving and everything kind. So if you put mean faces all over the little mean emojis, then it would appear to the powers that be that, oh no, this must be something of controversy. This is not very community-like. And that's not who we are. We are a community page, a family page. Most of the time we're family. Some days I can go on a little bit of a rant and not be very family, but don't put the mean faces. And if you do that, take them off. You can take them off the same way you put them on, by touching them, and they'll go away. But sometimes people say, well, it was a mistake. I have fat fingers. Guys, we don't do fat finger mistakes. Don't be mean to him. We don't, yeah. And then don't get into a rush. Or it was my kids playing on my phone. It is crazy how things like that can affect you. Anyway, we are waiting for Jamie. She had to run in and make herself presentable. And I said, okay, that's fine. Guys, and I'm also realizing that I don't have a very good Wi-Fi signal. Let me ask how it's going. Before we get into anything, now would be a good time for me to go move closer to the house, to the shop if I need to. I'm sitting in a location where I don't normally sit. And so I'm just asking to let us know how the signal strength is. Are you able to see us okay? Is the volume, the audio, everything so good so far? Someone says blurry. It's the only time I've seen blurry. It looks to be clear for everybody. There's no one saying there's lagging issues. And so if that normally happens, then probably it could be on your end. If your audio is off. So I have seen 3 blurries. It's fuzzy. Well, could that just be because my face is fuzzy? All right, so I am seeing quite a few blurries. So we're going to go ahead and walk this little close. We're going to walk closer to the shop where our Wi-Fi is located. And so hopefully that will clear everything up. We don't want to have a bad connection. We don't want to have a bad live because of our connection. So I'll just walk over here. And we'll see if this is any better. So, all right. Well, if you're still saying blurry, that means it might be my camera. Much better. Okay, so we're better now then. Well, Finn has followed me over. He wants to be a part of this so darn bad. I don't really want to get started till Jamie gets here, even though the live has started 4 minutes ago and Jamie's not here yet. But if she knew that I was live already, it'd make her mad. She hates to walk up and I've already gotten everything started. I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's a work day. You guys are busy, and I don't want to keep you. But I do want to talk about some things that happened here yesterday that were quite scary for both Jamie and myself. I think more so for Jamie. Um, I'm going to tell you something that you might not get. But if you've ever been through a traumatic ordeal, an experience, and that happens in so many different ways, y'all. The second time you go through the trauma of something or the third time of something, it doesn't affect you the same way it did the first time. Because maybe in a way you've already conditioned yourself to it. You've been there, you've done that. And so, whereas yesterday, Jamie was legit struggling. She struggled yesterday. She struggled mightily. I don't know why. I had this calm and this peace about me. And then I remember when we had Tropical Storm Imelda came by a couple of years back and flooded. I'm a survivor. I had just flooded 2 years earlier from Harvey. So even though Jamie was quite the wreck and, and just very scared, I was at such peace. And so I know this sounds horrible. I'm going to just say this. But you all seen the movie Forrest Gump, and Lieutenant Dan. I like Lieutenant Dan. He was one of my he was a great actor. Did great acting in that movie. But he's the fella who lost his legs in Vietnam. And he and Forrest Gump met up, years later. And Lieutenant Dan was just a wreck. He was a wreck of a man because he, as he says, he should have died there. He should have died a war hero. Instead, he comes home with no legs and he has to live the rest of his life in a wheelchair. But at some point, Forrest and Lieutenant Dan got that shrimp boat, and they're up in that shrimp boat, and this horrible storm comes through. And Forrest is scared. He's sitting there, bucketing water out of the boat, and he hears this laughter and all this, yeah. And he looks up, and Lieutenant Dan has climbed the mast to the top of the sail. And he's hanging on up there, and he's like, come on, bring it. What you gonna do? And not challenging God. We don't want to say challenging God, but Lieutenant Dan had already seen the depths of despair. And he was able to find a way just to laugh off anything else. It may kill him, but you know what? I'm not going to find myself reliving those depths of despair again. So I don't know. I don't know if it's that exact same syndrome, because I was not laughing it off. I'm not running around laughing off, Tropical Storm Imelda as it's covering our pastures and going inside our home. And you're not laughing it off, but you're also not as panicked. You're not freaking out and going crazy. And yesterday, with having these fires right here, y'all, right here where I'm pointing, just flames higher than the trees, flames and lines of fire trucks and paramedics and police officers and boots on the ground, just firemen running everywhere and support people, bringing them water and more hose. And in all of that confusion and all of that madness, I think that I stayed relatively calm. And, I mean, it's obvious. I saw the damages. I saw the structures that were burning. I saw when it had crossed my fence line, it was burning across our pastures. But I never panicked. I stayed really calm. And it was a beautiful moment, really. But once things had kind of like calmed down, there were still firemen here putting out hot spots. I couldn't find Jamie. So I walked around the side of the house over here where there was not as much commotion. And she's over here crying. Poor baby's over here crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And it was just so darn overwhelming for her. It was just so intense. And it happened so fast, just overwhelming to her. And then it was cute because she goes, "Will you hold me?" Don't let her know I'm laughing about this. Don't let her know I'm laughing about this. But she says, "Will you hold me?" I'm like, "Well, I hold you. There's firemen everywhere. There's all these men running around, sweaty guys. You want me to come hold you?" She goes, "Just for a minute." I did it, okay? I did it. I snuck around behind this green stalk right here. I got behind this thing over here. Now, that thing is not that big, and Jamie and I do not fit behind that very well, but I did hold her. I held her right behind that green stalk. I will demonstrate how that probably looked. Give me a second. I'll get it all set up, and I can demonstrate how it probably looked, me holding Jamie behind this green stalk, hoping that no one would see me. Listen, I don't mind holding my lady, y'all, but I was just embarrassed to do it in front of a bunch of firemen. Please tell me there's nothing wrong. That's normal for me. I'm a guy. And I did hold her, y'all. I did hold her. Where is she? She probably has no idea that I'm live already. Let me get the green stalk all set up. Of course, we have the wheels locked. Okay. When she comes outside, she's going to have no idea why I rolled that green stalk over there. And let's not tell her I'm live. I'm going to stand behind it and say, "Come here, babe, just hold me. And let's just see how we look, okay?" She's going to be so much. You about ready?
Yeah. Sorry, Mark called me.
I thought we'd do something kind of funny. I want to see how this looks, though. Just come over here and hold me.
What do you mean hold you?
Just hold me like yesterday. Just come hold me.
What are you hiding?
We are live already.
Shut up! Shut up!
I'm talking about yesterday. How I was embarrassed because you wanted me to hold you in front of a bunch of firemen.
I didn't want you to hold me. I said, "Can you just hug me?"
That means hold me. Same thing. Hug me, hold me.
I
Jamie.
didn't know we were live. I'm literally.
We've been live for 13 minutes already. I've been waiting for you like crazy.
My boss called me.
I had to move around the house a little bit and try to find the right signal. I was trying to go from a different location. We've already been joined by Finn and Starla and some of the dogs, and it's been we've not heard Rocky yet, though. Rocky has been really sweet so far. Yeah. Oh, I see him. He's alive and well. All right. So let's hear about your experience from yesterday. So I
can't
haven't
talk about it without crying.
You don't want to cry this morning. You already got makeup on and stuff. You got to work. So I don't mind giving my perspective first if you want me to, and then you can ease into yours, or we can go with yours first. I've already kind of been talking for a while. People probably want to hear your voice a little bit, I would imagine. Jamie was here. I wasn't. I was at I'm a Survivor, and I got the first phone call from Mr. Wilbur. He's down the road right when you turn in. And I answered. I have all the numbers saved, so I saw who it was calling me. And he calls on occasion. It's normally stuff with his garden or questions for Jamie about this or that. So my phone rang, and I said, "Hey, Mr. Wilbur." And he says, "What are you burning over there?" And immediately I'm like, I'm not burning. I'm not even over there. I'm in Plum Grove. I says, "What's going on?" He goes, "There's a lot of smoke coming up in them woods behind your place." And I said, "Okay." I says, "Jamie's home. I'll call her." So I hang up with him immediately. And I called Jamie. And I says, "Babe," I says, "can you walk outside and see if there's any smoke?" I says, "Mr. Wilbur just called and said there's smoke. A lot
What's
of smoke."
crazy is I just finished a Zoom call.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
She's hungry, baby. Her box right there.
Okay.
I just finished a Zoom call and stood up and put my shoes on and didn't have another one booked for the rest of the day. So I was gonna go take a lap outside. That's what we do. Like, it's continual like rotation of laps, and Lester was gone at the sanctuary. And I walked around that corner and I looked up and I shamefully said a curse word. I walked out with my camera because I was going to prove to Lester what was going on, and I did not expect to capture what I did. And well,
there was a wall of fire moving this way, and we got some flies this morning. Well, here's why. I bring the milk bottle over and flies start.
fly spray right there.
Baby, I'm talking. I don't want to go fly spray everything and get it all in our coffee. So Jamie was still on the phone with me, and she screamed and cursed like she said. And so I says, I'll call the fire department. So I got on and I called the fire department. And then I began to call every neighbor on both sides of the property. The only neighbor who did not answer was Mr. Pete. So I had to call his wife at work.
He ended up coming over.
He did. Yeah, he was here when I got here. And so, but I got a hold of every neighbor. I also called Mr. Wilbur back. And I says, Mr. Wilbur, would you do me a favor? I says, there is a fire. I says, could you go open the gate and let my cows out? And on the road, I didn't care. At that point, let the cows out. You don't leave animals contained to a pasture if, in fact, it could be on fire. And what's scary is, and this is more your story than mine, Jamie had to go out to the barn. The cows were scared. Tex, Wayland, Santoro.
Yeah, they were standing in the barn, in the covered barn, and scared. And I grabbed food and was gonna call them up, but they wanted nothing to do with food, and they absolutely knew that something was going on.
Well, isn't that kind of like a child, kind of they run to their room and hide?
Yes.
And so the cows ran into the barn, which is the closest structure to the fire.
Yeah.
Our barn is literally on the fence line, and there's trees that come right to the fence line. And those cows had all run into their stalls, and they're all sitting there like scared. And go ahead.
Yeah. So I knew that they had to get out, and if it meant going behind them with a spanky stick or whatever I had to do, I just had to do it. So I kept walking with the food much further away up the pond side, and all of a sudden, I can't believe this, Waylon.
Well, there was an explosion.
Well, there was.
There was a propane tank exploded at one of the structures that had caught fire there in the woods. And I guess that explosion, along with you trying to call them and everything else, sent the cows just scurrying.
But Waylon led them out.
Waylon led the charge to the promised land.
Yeah.
But
and they ran right past that food. I dropped that bucket and they ran, and
they weren't after food at that point.
No. So I just knew that they were up towards the front, and that was okay. And the ostriches were tucked up by the well house, and that was far enough away for now until people could get here. I had called 911 as I was walking out to the cows, and I got so frustrated because I kept getting passed to different dispatches of counties, the fire department. And I knew our fire department. I kept saying, I need South Polk, this is where I'm at. And they kept passing me. And finally I'm on, all four dispatchers are on, like, where are you again? And I'm like, I am a mile from the South Polk Fire Department. And I was like, and Chris is the fire chief. And if you don't get me to him, I'm going to hang up with you and call him directly. I just imagine my 911 call is like,
oh God,
like she's a raging bitch.
You know, they can release those, and someone may actually end up hearing that at some point.
Well,
no, I actually called Chris. I didn't waste time with 911, and it's how blessed are we to have Chris and his number. And I called Chris and says, Chris, we have a fire. And he didn't talk to me. He hung up immediately, and didn't ask me any details. And from there, man, things got into motion. Now, a lot happened before I got here, because I jumped in the truck and began to drive. A lot happened. I will just say, and then I'll end my part of the talk about this. I think the hardest thing for me was having a 30-minute drive and not having any information, because I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I was trying to call everybody and ask them what's happening.
And I just had no time to answer.
Obviously, no one could answer because there was so much going on. But by the time I did get here, I would say there was still a fire. There's still fires, obviously. But I don't think that we were in as much threat because at that point they had made a skirmish line across our back fence line, pumped all kinds of water out of our pond, our poor pond. It was looking so pretty. And that's okay. I am not upset about that at all. Our pond was looking so pretty, nice and full. And we were actually going to put color into our pond today. And I'm glad I didn't do it yesterday because there'd have been blue water going out across all the burnt.
I just know that you and I have had such different experiences. Like, I will admit, I am traumatized. But I'm happy that we both aren't, because we both don't need to be a wreck. But I held it together all the way until I asked you for that hug last night. And that's when I lost it. I knew I needed to lose it, but it was incredible of how many perfect strangers pulled up to help. I just took control and I said, you get on that tractor and you get on that lawnmower and you grab this and start hauling feed out and hay out, because at that point in time, the wind was changing and it was going to take over the barn, and the barn has hay in it.
Gosh, and our barn has all of our equipment.
So I just started telling perfect strangers of, do you know how to drive a tractor? Do you know how to do this? Do you know how to do this? The guy that got in the mini truck, I really felt bad for him.
That would have been an amazing video. We should try to pull up our camera footage. We have cameras around the property. And if we could have captured that moment.
He was a big old guy.
He must have figured it out, though.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's just a golf cart, y'all. It's just a golf cart with a body around it. So it's not that hard to figure out. But that would have been hilarious.
But I just started to there's people standing around, and I felt helpless with the actual fire situation. Like, what the heck am I gonna do? And I just started telling people what to do and doing it myself as well. And then Mr. Wilbur, we owe him so much, because not only did he notice and think to call, but when he showed up, he started, he said, do you want me to run out to the cows with you? This man is what, 88?
He's an older gentleman.
He is an older gentleman, retired, like always the kindest man, and his wife, Mary, incredible human beings to us as well. And he said, do you want me to go get the cows? And no, I can get the cows. Just hold the gate for when the fire department gets here. Well, not only did he hold the gate, but the first truck that was here was just a pickup truck, that kind that has the hose on the back.
It's a little brush truck. They put out small brush fires. They have like 300 gallons of water.
That
not much at all.
truck backs up to the thing, and he grabs the hose and starts using it. And
Mr. Wilbur is an older man.
I am just like, I'm watching from the distance of what's happening here. Number one, I'm like, I don't know what's in that truck or where they think they're going to get something, but they're going to need a bigger truck. But number two, here is Mr. Wilbur, like literally taking control and holding the fire hose like a real fireman. And my heart is just like all over the place in that moment. And at that point in time is when we heard the explosion. And this inferno cloud that looked like this mushroom cloud just comes up over the top. And it was the blackest of black smoke.
Yeah, they said it was over the trees. We have some photos of that. Miss Pat and Mr. Dave were here. Pat and Dave came over, and Miss Pat, she got her camera. And would you believe that most of her videos, she shot them sideways? Is Miss Pat not becoming a videographer? Everyone knows that for higher quality videos, you turn your phone sideways and record this way, because people watch them on their devices these days. TVs, laptops, and all of our devices run horizontal, not so much vertical. And Miss Pat, she had the mindset to say, you know what, this is some pretty good footage that Lester may want. Shoot. And she turns that camera sideways to video for me.
All I know is that I could not make niceties with anybody. I am sure that I came across as an erratic or a stone cold, probably. I wasn't crying. I wasn't frantic. I was just very much like, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. And there was very little video that I was capturing during that time because I was just doing.
No, you had to go. At some point, you got to put the camera down and just go.
And, Mr. Wilbert was like, just taking inventory of people that were coming and explaining, how to get back to places. And then afterwards I talked to him, and he told me, he goes, I know these woods like the back of my hand. I've lived down this path a long time. And he goes, and I was a firefighter for, I forget what for a big organization, like a big plant for many years. So that's why he knew how to use the hose
Equipment.
and everything like that. But I had to find my own value in what was going on, and to be able to know that there's nothing I could do, obviously, with the big situation, but could I bring them drinks? Could I ensure that certain things were safe? Could I, so I'm checking on our animals, I'm bringing drinks, and just.
Did you happen to put the video in your video of you walking in the house to check the animals?
I
And
did.
they're all sleeping.
Yeah.
So with all of this commotion, there's sirens and there's just cars and trucks and people running around. I think they call it boots on ground, y'all. There's just people everywhere. And at some point, Jamie just nothing else to do out there. So she just does a quick animal check. She walks inside the apartment here, and all the dogs are sleeping. The little goats are looking for a bottle. It's like they had no idea. It's just they were oblivious to all the chaos going on outdoors. Trixie was with me, luckily.
So as I'm I'm gathering the rest of the strangers that are here, like other neighbors we haven't met, people that were driving by, like I'm gathering them, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to back up the tractor and move hay and things like that. All of a sudden somebody goes, I think that fellow right there has things under control. And I was like, what do you mean? Well, he goes, the guy in the green shirt. Well, it was Chris who had scaled the fence and went back behind the woods to make sure
it couldn't come our way.
It couldn't come our way.
That was so so that sounds kind of bad, but no, he was literally redirecting the flames, knowing you couldn't stop them, but he could redirect. So they actually went and did like a backfire. If you've ever heard of a backfire, it's the craziest fireman technique of all time. You actually build a fire to prevent a fire. So you go build a backfire. And so how crazy was it that Chris has the knowledge and the mindset of what it's their craft, y'all. It's a skill, it's a craft. And to prevent that fire from coming up onto our property, onto our hill, across our fence line, they had to go back and build a backfire so that when the fire reached it, there was nothing else to burn. It's already been burnt out and sprayed down, which is just nuts to me how Chris had that kind of a mindset. But hey, it worked and it paid off. And at some point, they were able to push the fire into a contained area. And at that point, they just got chemicals and water, and they just began to spray the heck out of it. And it was contained and extinguished, I would say 4 or 5 hours once we got the first call.
I mean, there's a helicopter above us.
There were drones, helicopters.
It was surreal.
And then the funniest part, I think, of the video, and this was in my video, is the only person who got questioned. You know, there's always an investigation, a fire marshal and whoever else. And they don't know. I'm the one that has had issues with fires in the past. And that's how I met Chris, believe it or not, through a accidental fire. And it was Jamie, the one that got questioned because she was here and I wasn't.
Questioned is a strong word. I got this. So what happened? And I'm like, listen, I
have to use interrogated. You were interrogated, but
no, they were very kind, and it was just a lot of good human beings.
Yeah, we know a lot of our neighbors. I think we know all of our neighbors up and down the street here as far as we go. And they're all wonderful people. And look at Starla and what she's doing. I know y'all can't see, but she's really losing it today. But we also met some other good people yesterday. A lot of great people. There were 3 or 4 different fire departments. Do they call that a 4-alarm fire?
I don't know. Babe.
I don't know exactly how that terminology goes, but there were 4. Now, there were a lot more than 4 fire trucks here, but there were 4 different communities of fire trucks. There was the big department, Livingston. That's the big department. They were here. And then, of course, South Polk is our local. there's a place called Romare, which is right down the road, a small town, volunteers.
I have to look at my video. I thought it was
Some kind of a creek or some kind of a
Yes.
loop. I saw another fire truck that
Yes.
I didn't recognize the
That's why I
name.
told you I was like, it's a creeker or something like that.
Yes, Bear Creek or something. I saw another fire truck here.
Another small
unit.
community volunteer. But that's the thing. These are all volunteers. These are people that they get nothing out of this. They don't get money. They don't get fame. They don't get, this is most of them. I don't even know their names, but they showed up.
Some are walking around in shorts and flip flops and trying to find stuff to put on. Those that were dressed in the fireman gear actually scaled over our fence to go fight before it got here. But they all found a role, and I don't think there was anyone like on TV, Chicago VD, FD or whatever. You see the commander shows up with the walkie-talkie and he's directing what to do. There was really none of that. It was just all of these trucks pulling up, everyone finding a place to go, everyone jumping out of a truck or running out of a car and grabbing whatever they knew needed to happen and working so cohesively together without anyone screaming and hollering and shouting and, hey, all this radio chatter back and forth. And man, they worked like champs, just like professionals. And I'm thinking volunteers who do this without pay. They do this on their time. A lot of these guys that I talked to later had to leave work early because they got the call. Some were home on their off day. Some had just gotten home from work. And some had this was their fourth fire to fight the same day. They've been to 3 other places before ours. And then you said they had some kind of a red flag warning or something like a fire alert.
So there was a red flag warning for our 4 or 5 counties, maybe more yesterday. But what that meant was that there's no humidity in the air, which made it very high for fire risk. And I never even heard of that before yesterday.
I hadn't either.
I thought a red flag alert was for the beaches,
oceans. Yeah.
I had no idea that there was an air red flag alert. And now I learned.
So let me say something real fast. And this is something that is not Jamie and Lesterish. All right. It's not Longhorn Lesterish and it's not from Suits to Bootish. But we actually felt compelled yesterday to start a fundraiser, not for us, not for our property, not for our animals, nothing to do with us whatsoever, but for our local fire department. Maybe it was my emotions that impelled me to do that, because I've always told y'all, use your money for yourself. You use your money for your family. You pay it forward in your community. But talking to Chris yesterday and just seeing how everyone came together, and maybe it was the emotions of realizing that we could have lost our farm yesterday. We could have lost our animals, our home. These trees go up, man. We could have lost so much yesterday. And maybe it was the emotions that pushed me, but I did. I went on and I started a GoFundMe. And I'm looking you in the eye, and there's the eye. I'm looking you in the eye when I'm telling you, Lester does not want your money. Jamie and Lester do not want a penny from you. We appreciate and we love you for watching our videos, and we are determined to earn your money the old-fashioned way, by working for it. And we work for it by entertaining and by providing and just by the video editing. That's what we do for a living, y'all. But volunteer fire departments are not that lucky. They have to find ways to earn money through fundraisers and barbecues and raffles and fish fries.
But it doesn't go to individuals. It actually goes to their equipment, their functionality, their that type of thing. It is no one takes that home in their pocket. They still, no matter how much money they do or don't have, it doesn't go to them as individuals at all.
And so I did go last night. I talked to Chris to make sure it was okay. And with reservations, we talked about it, but he said they could use some equipment. There's some things that their department needs and what they're working towards with their next fundraisers. And I says, I want to start one for you from our pages. So on our Facebook channels, I'm a Survivor Sanctuary and Longhorn Lester's, I did put a GoFundMe link. That's not a scam. If you go to the link that I posted, it's in the first comment line after our fire video. So just be aware that it always scares me when you see people asking for money and you see links to click for this and links to click for that. But and then I told Chris I'm going to run it for one day. I'm going to take it off. And by tomorrow, I will let you guys know that at this point, that's gone. So anyone else pops up trying to say, help support South Polk County, I'm not saying who it is. It's not going to be us.
Yeah.
We're doing a one-day thing and a one-day thing only. And this is all going to South Polk County. And then I made a little bit of a mistake by saying something that I shouldn't have said. What I said was, this is what I meant. What I say and what I meant are two different things. What I said was, we're going to match that. Jamie and I are going to combine our monies and match the monies that we can earn from the fundraiser. We got a dog barking. Everything's fine. But what I meant was, we're going to match it to make sure we get to that amount. Because there ain't no way we're going to match what they've earned so far.
No,
You know that.
I know.
Guys, this morning, people have been so darn good and so generous and so kind. And I think that when I saw it last, it was like already at $12,000. And I'm like, $12,000? We ain't matching $12,000. We will come up and we'll make our own donation. We'll make a very hefty donation, because we want to take care of those folks. And I'm good on my word. And so what I meant is that I'll make sure they get the $6,000 if we have to do it ourselves. With a little bit of your help. I had no idea you were going to come out the way you have. And Jamie, look what people are saying. It's over 20,000 right now.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I'm going to shut that down this afternoon. We're not going to take advantage of anybody. I'm going to let it run for a little bit, and then I will shut it down by this afternoon. Is that a good time? So I don't know. What time did I start it yesterday? About 5 or 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. What I'll do is I'll run it 24 hours and I'll shut it down.
Yeah.
So this will be a one-day thing only. And guys, remember this. And I preach this. I preach it. You take care of you.
Yes.
And you take care of your family. And you don't give to others until your own home is taken care of. You got groceries. You got your gas. You got what you got. All of your needs are being met.
Somebody says taking care of your fire department is taking care of yourself.
That's powerful. But I don't want to see you going hungry. I don't want to see you struggling, because my conscience can't handle that. I'll just say it that way. So I'll let it run for a few hours longer, and then I'll shut it down.
Sadie, it's okay.
And so
baby.
if you run across any other links that are created from someone else, don't believe it. Message me first. Ask me first. Because people are bad, y'all. When it comes to things like that, people will find any excuse in the world to try to, I'll start a GoFundMe for them as well. And there's no guarantees. Anyway, I want to say one last thing, then I'll let you talk the rest of the way out. Tomorrow, lunch with Longhorn Lester, I have a special guest lined up.
Who?
I'm not going to tell you. I want to see if they can figure it out. Who do y'all think my special guest will be tomorrow, noon, lunch with Longhorn Lester? Can you read what anyone's saying?
They're still telling you not to take down the GoFundMe.
Guys, I don't think it's in good conscience we can leave it up.
They think it's Chris.
Chris? Why would I have Chris over here? Why Chris? You think we want to have Chris over here? No, it will be our assistant fire chief, Chris, will be my guest tomorrow. And I says, Chris, I know you're working. He's a working man. We can do it remote, or if you can find a way to get off work for a little bit, we can do it right here together on the porch or inside the house if it's too hot. And he goes, no, he'd rather be here. And I'm like, good. So I already gave some teasers. I am going to be wearing Chris's fireman's outfit. And while Chris is sitting here embarrassed, because it's going to embarrass him, I'm going to walk by with every sexy, cute outfit and animal I can find. I'll try different poses, and I am going to create a calendar while Chris sits right here and judges me. Now, Chris is not going to want to do this. Chris is as man's man as they come. But even a man's man can still identify a good-looking guy. Girls can do that too. A girl knows when she sees a pretty girl, yes or no?
True.
And so Chris will know if he sees a good-looking fake fireman holding a goat or holding a cat. And Chris is I'm going to make him. He doesn't know about this yet, so we're not going to tell him. but I'm going to make Chris judge me, hot or not.
Oh
I
my
can't
God.
wait. I'm going to start putting together some props, Jamie, and I'm going to have some fun with Chris tomorrow. So y'all come back tomorrow at noon, lunch with Longhorn Lester. If you can't be here at noon for work or whatever, that's fine. You can always watch the replay. You can watch the replay. And then I'm also going to have a total, and we will cut Chris that check tomorrow. And that will be a big thing. That's so great for them.
People say that we should make sure to pass them to the other departments too. I think that we could partner with Chris to decide.
We'll let, you know
know.
what we can do? I think because they're all nonprofits, I
Yes.
believe, what we should do is let Chris take the amount that we promised, and then they can pay it forward from one nonprofit to another.
Yeah.
Would be a whole lot easier.
Because he would know who was here and what they
He knows
did and what they need
and
that type of
what they
thing.
need. Yeah,
I will
what
tell
they
you,
need.
Chris is an honorable human being, a very humble.
Don't build him up too much, baby. Don't build him up too much.
He's been very good to us, and more than just yesterday. Like they've helped us.
Well, he was the very first guy I met in his fireman gear when I had that accidental fire early on. He also was the fella who brought the truck over when they first bought it from Louisiana, right? They bought them a fire truck from Louisiana, and they haven't had a chance to test it out yet. So they come out and they sprayed our pasture one time to see if the pumps and all worked, which was great for our pastures. And it had kind of worked out great for them. Oh, Jamie, you got to talk about this. How many fire trucks come across my driveway yesterday and come over that cattle guard? How many fire trucks came over that cattle guard?
Like 16.
Guys, that sucker held up. My cattle guard held up to having at least 16 fire trucks full of water coming across that sucker. And
don't think that I wasn't nervous.
Oh, I was
with
nervous
every
too.
single one. I was like,
boom, 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 boom.
I held my
boom,
breath
boom,
the whole
boom.
time. And then thank God, like this is the other thing is those pumps are still down at the river and in those woods. And all I kept thinking about was I hope the fire doesn't go to those, because we need those pumps. We need the hoses to be able to refill or replenish. I actually asked Chris at some point in time, those pumps are there.
Do we need to pump?
Do I need to pump, and do you want to connect to those instead? And he goes, not yet. So the confidence in Chris and the leadership that I saw in him yesterday was it was powerful.
Yeah.
But also his calm, like probably kept me a little sane through that as well until you could get here.
Can I talk about one funny thing though? This is one funny thing that I noticed yesterday. So Livingston Fire Department are not volunteers. Those are guys that are paid. Did you notice the way they looked, the way they acted, the way they were dressed compared to your volunteers? And so I compare this to
were they the ones in uniform?
I'm so sorry. I coughed on a camera. Yes. So listen, this is kind of funny, and it's not funny, but I kind of compare this to like, if you ever seen old movies or
I am getting the flight right. I can't stand it.
If you've ever seen old movies of like, what do they call those guys? Jamie, help me with this word. Y'all help me with this word. You had your militia. You have your soldiers from the North or the South from the Civil War, but you also had your neighborhood and your little town militias, right? And so whenever your soldiers would show up and they called on the militia to come support or help, militia would show up in just their old farmer boots and their old, they would have a rake or a shovel or a hoe, and your army sitting there with soldiers, and they have all their all their soldier stuff, and they all stand straight and their guts are sucked in, their chests are out, and they're marching, and here comes your militia just walking by with a shovel over their shoulder. And so there's nothing wrong. Bravery, heroism, it's all the same, y'all. It runs in their blood of some people. And so no matter who showed up here in nice boots and uniforms and hats and oxygen tanks, compared to guys who showed up in shorts and flip-flops and t-shirts, they all jumped out and did the same thing. All of these heroes, I'm going to call them heroes, jumped out of them trucks, their personal cars with lights. All their personal cars have lights on them. Do you notice that? Mm-hmm. There were little Toyotas, little minivans, there were trucks, everyone pulled up with little lights. Lights come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
and they all jump out like a militia, and they all begin to form together. And it was just beautiful to watch them work. They're just heroes, all coming to the aid of a community.
It's true.
From other communities.
From other communities, and like I said, perfect strangers that were either neighbors or drove by. And I mean, we know the majority of our close neighbors, but I'm talking about people from a couple miles away even showed up and said, what can I do? And I don't know, that was just it was a really big deal to me. Then as far as, you know, Mr. Wilbert, I want to do something special for him too. And I don't know what that is.
We need to have Wilbur join us also on a live. Mr. Wilbur, y'all, he's an amazing man. We've had him over. We had him over at our house, he and his wife. When we first moved here, we had a barbecue. We set up a barbecue. Jamie and I cooked, and we invited all of our neighbors over, and Wilbur and his wife were here. Did we video that night? I don't know if we made video of that or not.
I think you did, but I don't know if you got everybody that was here. I think you made a video of us like getting ready for it with the kids and everything.
Yeah, but Mr. Wilbur is the one that noticed the smoke, and he set everything into motion. And then scary thing is every other neighbor who I called had no idea. So they were all off guard.
Thing. You know that I have a heightened sense of smell.
You certainly do, yeah.
And there have been times, even at the sanctuary, where things were wrong, and I could smell it, and I can smell it. And for me not to smell anything here blew my mind. And what was crazy is even when I walked outside, I couldn't smell it, but it was because the wind was so strong the other way. Yeah. So we don't know how it started. People asking like, what started? We have no idea.
All I know is it wasn't me this time.
Right. So
I'm clear. I'm in the clear.
We don't know.
Now she was here alone.
Yeah. I have a Zoom alibi, I promise you. But what's crazy is that I had ran to the store 2 hours before that, came home, got home for my 1 o'clock call. And I'm pretty observant and always take a once over and then go inside. I was inside for 2 hours, and that's when Lester called. I had just finished my Zoom call. So to think about how fast it must have happened, and maybe that's also why I didn't smell anything. Like it was, so I don't know. I didn't smell anything. And that to me is still something like that's baffling to me in that sense. But yes, thank God for Mr. Wilbert and for his see something, say something mentality, and then for his jump in as soon as they got here as well.
Yeah. And so now let's go real fast to a little bit of personal stuff. Jamie and I both made and took time to release short snippets yesterday, and both of us kept saying in our comments in our video that we are fine, the animals are safe. Y'all were still so mean to us though. They were so mean to us.
It's How are you gonna put this up there? And
you would rather us tell you nothing.
Okay, and I'm like,
we were hoping that you would enter us into your prayer chains, or at least say a little silent prayer or something. We want you to know what's going on, but we could not take time during all of that.
I barely got any video. Lester was like, "Did you get any good video? Did you capture anything that was happening?" And I'm like, "No." Like, no, I didn't actually.
And so we gave you enough to know that, hey, we got firemen here. We got everything's under control. The animals are safe. We're all safe. Don't worry. But we do things to let you know things are going on. But,
and that's because there were a lot of people locally who had made video or pictures of
there's Facebook posts.
Yeah, there were people who. Some strangers apparently at some point in time came up and made videos and pictures of like, there's a fire at Longhorn Lester's.
And then they exaggerated. They're evacuating the animals. And then she tags Longhorn Lester. So then anyone that sees that tag is going to be panicked. So we says, hey, we're fine. The animals are safe. We'll just felt bring you more later. We'll bring you the whole video when we have time to make it.
Yeah. It just was it's a whirlwind, y'all. And we did our best. That's the best way we can say it.
All right. Well, listen, we will let you go with one last little peek at this little munchkin over here, who is just the most adorable thing ever.
He's our toy, our little.
I feel so bad for Starla, though, because she used to get all the attention, and now everyone only wants to love on him.
Look how cute he is.
Starla's cute, too. Come here, sweetie.
No, Starla's she's too busy eating all the strawberries.
If you want to, if you have the resources, and if you have a giving heart, you must take care of yourself and your family first. And if you want to go by to either one of the Facebook channels and find that link, they're legit. And every penny along with our donation,
Mhm.
will go to Chris tomorrow. I will shut those links down. We're not going to keep, we're
Maybe.
not going to extend our goal. We're not going to do all that nonsense and all that. We had a goal. You've met the goal, but you're still giving. And so we're going to run it for the rest of this day, and then we're going to shut it down. So any day after today, that's not going to be us. Do not think that's going to be us asking for money for this or money for that or anything else. And please join us tomorrow with Chris. Will you be here tomorrow? Can you come out
Yeah.
too? And I would love to have your
I actually
perspective.
took off work today and tomorrow. I knew that I needed some time.
Oh, now you're jealous. We got two jealous babies here, y'all. We got two jealous babies here, and they're best friends, even though she's big sister and he's little brother, and she picks on him.
She does.
But no one else can pick on him. Only she can. She can pick on him, but no one else can.
You know how unfolded her ears are now? Like, they're barely even.
It's okay. And the thing is, he doesn't know she's being picked on. He thinks that's normal. That's just love. And she rams him and shoves him to a corner, and she makes him sleep behind the toilet. Behind the toilet.
She blocks him in.
She blocks him in where he can only sleep behind the toilet like this over here, and he's like peeking out.
They're moving outside today too. I ordered a playpen.
Oh, he does not like that idea at all. He likes to be in the bathroom. He likes being air conditioned.
They have a 16 by 32.
She's gonna jump right over that. I don't know how tall that thing is. She's gonna jump right over.
We're gonna try it today.
If it's not 4 foot tall, she's gonna be right over it. Hi,
try it.
Hi, Fiona. All right, Fiona says, everyone say hi to her real fast before we leave. All right, there's our sweet Fiona. Okay, guys, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for supporting us and being there for us when we need you the most, which is pretty much every day. And we love you so much. Thank you for your prayers yesterday and every day. I did not irrigate yesterday. I could not find myself going out there after this ordeal to irrigate my pasture, but I think I got plenty of water. Would you agree?
True.
There are some people saying, did we have any damage? All we had was damage was from our fencing. Our fencing along that back ridge was damaged, but nothing severe. A couple of panels to be replaced, and we'll be fine with all of that. That's something we can do very easily. Someone says, just breathe, Lester. I'm fine. It's her.
We have very different reactions to stress or to situations like this. I feel like Lester is like the seasoned, like Harvey did something to him to make him like Lieutenant Dan. And
that's my exact analogy. I already used that analogy.
Seriously?
Come on, man.
Or like,
really? Come on, man.
In like Bruce Almighty, where he's like, smite me, almighty smiter. Like, oh, bless you. Yeah. So I feel like that's your response to big things like that. Like in Imelda, you're out there like making jokes and everything else like that. And for me, like I'm like,
Trudy, where's my Trudy?
I can hold it together for the whole time that it's happening, but afterwards, like I have to like defrag. So we're very different in our stress responses, but we're okay, and we're gonna be okay. I told Lester that I'm a little congested today, and I don't know if that's just coming off of the sickness that we've had or
maybe smoke
some of the smoke from yesterday, but don't think that I'm not okay. I promise I'm okay.
And then a couple of people were asking about the home that burnt. Guys, that home was abandoned, and it's been abandoned since Hurricane Harvey. It was one of those that had grown up with just brush and stuff all around it. You probably never saw it in our videos because there was so much stuff growing around it, brush and limbs. Don't let her scratch you, baby. All kinds of stuff growing up around it. And so it was the only large structure, a couple of boats, a couple of trailers, nothing. No one lost a home as far as a livable space. Displaced. No one's displaced. Yeah, no one's displaced. So we love you so much, guys. I don't know if you could ever feel how much love we have just through this, but there's so much love that we have for you guys, and we thank you. And we'll talk to you guys soon. More videos to come, I promise.
Bye, y'all.
All right, Jamie Cakes in the broadcast. You want to hug behind that thing?
No, you leave me alone.
We can hug right behind that planter. No one will see us.
Kick you